I'd like to call the January meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission to order. Paul, would you call the roll?
Alan Brown.
Present.
Jeffrey Parks.
Present.
Suzanne Broadbent. Heather Clemmer.
Present.
Neela Crink-Clements. Greg Eddington.
Present.
George Massey.
Present.
Mary Jo Meacham.
Present.
And Ann Zacharitz.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to go over the meeting procedure, which is on the back of the front page of the agenda. The chairman will announce each case and ask interested parties to indicate their presence by raising their hand. Commissioners will discuss details of the case, calling on staff for details. Following this discussion, commissioners may choose to ask questions of parties present. Interested persons may speak to support or protest the application. The applicant will be entitled to one brief rebuttal. Interaction between applicant and protestants on the floor is not permitted. Persons speaking are asked to approach the center podium one at a time to introduce themselves by name and address, and if you would sign in, please, and to present their position as succinctly as possible. The Commission asks each speaker to limit his or her remarks to no more than 5 minutes. Following the public hearing on an application, the Commission will take one of the following actions. 1, approve the certificate of appropriateness. 2, continue the proposal. 3, deny the proposal with prejudice, which means the application may not be resubmitted for at least 1 year unless the Commission determines that circumstances have changed. Or 4, deny the proposal without prejudice, which means the applicant may reapply at any time. And then when an application has been approved and after a 10-day protest period has expired, the Historic Preservation Officer will mail the CA, Certificate of Appropriateness, to the applicant. City construction permits cannot be issued until the CA has been issued. And finally, contact HP staff for final design review inspection or to withdraw items that will not be completed. And then one more thing. Any person aggrieved by any decision granting or denying CA may appeal to the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment. All appeals shall be made within 10 days of the Commission decision by filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk of the Board of Adjustment. Okay, that's the process. And now from the HP officer. Katie?
First, I want to introduce Laura McDevitt. She is taking Rita's position as the attorney for the Historic Preservation Commission. Rita's still with the city. They're just moving people around a little bit. Laura's been with a number of our other design review districts, so she'll be keeping us on track with HP Commission here. Other items are a reminder that we've started reminding people as of January that in May and in June our schedule for application deadlines and for the meeting is different. So we'll have that on here every month from now until then so that people know that the application deadline for the June meeting is May 2nd and the June meeting will actually be on May 31st. And that is because of item B, which is the Statewide Historic Preservation Conference June 7th through 9th, which otherwise would conflict with our June meeting. That's all.
Okay, thank you. And now item 3, acceptance of the minutes of the previous meeting from December 7th. Are there any comments on the corrections on the minutes or a motion?
I move to accept.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Jeff Park and and seconded by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are accepted. Thank you. On to for the code enforcement report. Is anybody here to answer questions about that? City? No? Any comments on that?
I was just going to note, if you have questions about anything on the citation report, please contact staff. And for ones where it actually lists a citation number, that means that it's actually made it through the process from a notice of violation to a citation, and you can go on the city's website and put in that citation number to find out more information, or contact us or contact the Action Center.
Okay. No more questions on that. We'll go on to our continuance announcements and requests. None. Correct?
Right, and no new requests either.
Okay, no requests. Now, item 6, public hearings. None. For dilapidated structures or National Register nominations. And then on to now C, consent docket.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to pull the one and only item on the consent docket off the consent docket for discussion.
Okay, the entire docket. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is that a motion thing? Or do we usually just pull? Yeah, we usually just pull.
Oh, you want to make a motion?
I rescind
Oh, okay, sorry. How long have I done this? Okay. All right, so then we'll go on then to cases for an individual consideration. I guess we'll start with that.
Okay, so HPCA 16-00199 at 609 Northwest 14th Street, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Kurt Reiger by Haven Mankin for certificate of appropriateness to 1 reconstruct rear passageway elective. I will note that we used inconsistent language in the staff report for what we called this project, reconstruct rear passageway versus reconstruct back porch. So we'll just make sure that any motions match up with what's listed on the agenda and the public notice. That's all.
Okay, is the applicant present?
My name's Haven Mankin. I'm architect helping out on this project.
Okay, thank you. Any comments for the applicant?
So my question is on the rear porch / passageway. The material, is it a screened porch, or is
Yes,
that?
yes, sir. In this image, on the when I view that image on the right side, I guess you all see it the same relationship. The window that is closest on the side towards the house actually has a piece of plexiglass in it, and the rest of that is all screened.
And so what happens to the plexiglass unit?
Well, I think plexiglass has been added at some point in time. I don't know the history, if the screen used to be there or not. There's a little wing wall inside this porch area that acts like a windbreak to the back door of the house. And I suspect that they glaze that with plexiglass just to cut the wind down. I would recommend that we replace it as is with glass, though, single-strength glass. It just would be a nicer look. Wouldn't scratch like plexiglass. It's just, plastic's poor.
So you're proposing not to go back with more plexiglass, but to replace
Yes,
it with
sir.
actual
Yeah, with
glass?
the single-strength
Okay.
glass, clear glass.
Okay.
Okay. Any more questions? Pretty simple. Motion?
If there are no further questions, I would move to reconstruct existing rear porch and foundation with the specific findings as stated in staff report and clarification that the plexiglass unit at the rear would be replaced with glass instead of plexiglass.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that? Okay. Been moved by Jeff Parks and excuse me. That's really mine. And seconded by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've been approved.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you, Commissioner.
Heather. I can't say Heather's name today.
HPCA 16-00150 at 901 Northwest 19th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration of possible action on application of Micah Sterling for certificate of appropriateness to 4 install skylight elective.
Okay, is this applicant present? Nobody? Okay. Comments? Staff has recommended approval with unique circumstances.
I read the application and feel like that it follows the guidelines with the findings and the unique circumstances as stated by staff.
Okay.
No problem.
Any other comments or motion?
Just so I have it out there, I mentioned last time that I disagree with that. So, I don't think it's not allowed by the guidelines because visible skylights are prohibited, so you have to have a unique circumstance. And I understood the unique circumstance to be that it would look better than a dormer. And to me, a skylight never looks good. It's already installed. In fact, the person already did it, and it's sticking up there shiny. You can see it from a certain angle anyway. I admit it's only visible from certain spots, which might be something to be considered.
I was looking at it, and if you have to have egress from the attic, it's hard to find a better place for it. So I understand what you're saying. So is there any more comments or a second? Or I guess a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve HPCA 16-00150 with the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report and the unique circumstances as noted by staff in the staff report.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Joe Meacham and seconded by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, we need to show of hands on that. All in favor? One. That's what it counted. How many was that, Katie?
All but two, whatever that is.
Okay, all opposed? Just two, okay. All right. Well, the case has been approved. Okay, next item.
HPCA 16-00164A2 at 819 Northwest 25th Street, Paseo, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Dan and Karen McLemore by Corbin Harris of Express Sunrooms for certificate of appropriateness for an amendment to construct screen porch elective. This application was approved with conditions at the December meeting. The conditions were that each side of the proposed addition be set in from the walls of the existing house, set in from the east and in from the west. After the meeting, the applicant reconsidered and wanted to return to the commission with a proposal to construct it as originally proposed without the insets.
Okay, applicant present? There it is.
I'm Corbin Harris with 819 Northwest 25th Street.
Okay. You're with Express Sunrooms?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any comments? Applicant? Questions?
So is this an addition to an addition?
It is.
So on that west elevation, the line between the original structure and wherever the addition, the previous addition is kind of obscured at this point. Is that right? Or there's no step in the side elevation?
On the west elevation?
Right. Is there a line between what was the original house and what was the addition to the house?
Well, the addition now is brick pavers in the back.
Okay.
So it's,
Addition now is what?
On the, as they're walking up, on the west side, the little part that projects out, actually, I believe, was a porch that's been enclosed. So that has a little hip roof on it. And then on the east side, that is a later addition. If you look at the aerial photo that's on page 5 of the staff report, it gives you a little bit clearer picture of the shape now. So the little extension on the left of the photo, the bottom of the photo, was a porch, and the larger portion is a more recent addition.
I was mistaken. I understand what you're talking about now.
Okay. So both of the extensions off the back of the house are additions that have been made
Correct, right.
to the original
Yeah.
house? Okay.
The one that we're encompassing right now is the laundry room, and our roof will cover that, encompass it over into the new screen porch addition. Now, the reason we came back, the inset, when we left here, the door on the back of the house to the laundry room would actually obstruct the construction from coming in 1 foot. We would have to remove the door and move it over in order to do that, as well as the staff report, and I didn't see it until afterwards, said that the screen of the proposed addition provided a clear break from the existing structure to the new addition. So that's why we'd like to come back and say, is this enough of a clear break not to have to inset the room?
Any more questions? So the applicant's saying the change in material is enough to signify the difference between the new and the old.
Right. And the fact that it's an addition to an addition
Yeah.
kind of helps me to understand staff's point a little bit better, and I kind of agree with you, actually.
Katie, could you delineate for the staff's viewpoint, if this were, say, more walls and glass on this addition of a screen porch, how that would differentiate it from an actual room addition with heat and air and things like that for our causes? Does that make sense?
I'll try to answer that. So my thought with it in writing the staff report was that if this was a typical addition that was going to be a new room on the house where you had a continuation of the siding and the windows, then doing something like stepping it in a little bit to show a break.
Like any addition?
Like we typically do with additions, that would be necessary. The fact that the walls are almost entirely screen, I felt like was enough in and of itself to distinguish between what was clearly the house and then what was now a screen porch off the back. So that's why the staff report suggests that setting it in was not necessary.
I think the overall design of the house is more cohesive now with this myself.
Yeah, I think
Seems like
aesthetically
a lot
this-
of additions added on over the time and a little disjunct a little bit.
I think aesthetically, if we were to set it in a foot, I don't think it would flow. I think it would look, a little bit off, as opposed to running that west side roof line all the way out to the end of the house.
Move to approve HPCA 16-00164 with the specific findings in section D and E of the staff report.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Greg Eddington, second by Jeff Parks. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, you've been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next case.
HPCA 16-00169 at 3121 North Harvey Parkway, Edgemere Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Radha and Nanu Narayan by Ken Fitzsimmons for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace mail slot insert, elective; 2, convert rear wall of sunroom to new door and window system, elective; 3, convert recessed rear entry area to new door and window system, elective; 5, replace 3 garage doors with 2 garage doors and pedestrian door, elective; 6, replace exterior stair at garage, elective; 7, install new door opening at rear of garage, elective; 8, install covered porch with reused brick paver landing at rear of structure, elective; and 9, add parking cover at garage, elective.
Okay, thank you. Applicant
Hello.
is present. Could you sign in, please?
Yes, I did.
Okay, great. Any questions?
Did you and the client have an opportunity to read the comments from the neighborhood review committee?
I'm not aware of the neighborhood review.
Let me give you a copy. We didn't get you that.
They're just in agreement with the staff. I don't think there was a difference, was there, Katie?
I think they did differ on they were not in support of adding the pedestrian door at the front of the garage that we had recommended approval for. But otherwise, it lined up with the staff report recommendations.
Right. It says, committee disagrees with staff that a pedestrian door located on the front of the garage is appropriate. We do not believe creating a pathway from the drive to the garage apartment entry is justification. They think maybe you could put it on the south side. Those are those comments.
Put the door on the south side of the garage?
That's what they're.
Okay.
I didn't have
Sure.
have a recommendation, but they're just saying if a second, maybe consider the south facade as an appropriate location,
Not visible.
not visible from the street.
And these are comments from the Edgemere Park Neighborhood Association. Typically, we would have forwarded those to you in advance of the meeting, so I'm sorry I didn't get those to you before.
Yeah.
Could I address that one, or?
Yes, please.
The reason we propose it on the front is if we can have the floor plan of the garage, let's see, that would be sheet.
So our PowerPoint only has photos, just so you know,
sorry.
but they do
Okay,
have the
gotcha.
same staff report as you.
Okay, so it's on plan A3 shows the door to the garage on the east side there, and then A2 shows the overall plan. And the reason we located it on the front of the garage facing the street is there's an existing fence there that runs along the south side of the garage and separates the drive from the backyard area, the pool area. I suppose it is possible to do a workaround, but the idea was to make the entry to the garage or to the apartment above the garage more private. And so in this way, they could create a pass-through, if you will, going through the garage to the new proposed door in the back of the garage on the west side of the garage. It would be a private route instead of them, if they did lease it out to someone, they would be able to go that way instead of going through their backyard to get to the apartment.
And where you've located it on the plan
I'm sorry?
where you've located it on the plan as located on the plan, it really is kind of tucked behind the corner of the house.
Right, yeah, the photos, let's see, renderings that we've done, for example, that were intended to show the covered parking would also show that the door would not be visible, I think, from the street. Let me find the...
There may be a brief moment of time that you would glimpse it up the driveway, but it would be...
You would have to walk up the drive, yes.
Yeah, really, to see it.
Yeah, I think that's on let's see, sheet A9 shows the view from the street as it is, and then there's some renderings there that show the proposed covered parking. So this new proposed door would not be visible from the street.
Existing garage door, is that a double?
There's actually 3 sliding doors currently, and
Three
they're
sliding,
all
okay.
right, and they're on rollers, and they've actually been probably replaced at one time. They're made out of plywood now. I don't think that was an original material. They probably would have been, if they had been there originally, it would have probably been built out of lap siding or something of that nature. But they're not usable now, and one of the owners are here, Nanu Narayanan and Radha, and he has great difficulty right now operating these doors because they're sliding doors because of the settling of the paving, and not only that, but the overhead track. It just makes the doors almost unusable. I've tried opening them. It takes a lot of force to get those things open, and that's the reason we'd propose to change those out.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't recall a mail slot being on an application. Does anyone else? This is a first for me, to me. I'm
Well,
excited.
nobody's ever replaced one before.
Is there a charming little piece of the house? Why would you want it? Go on.
It's momentous. It's unbelievable. But anybody that's tried to get a B.C. Clark holiday catalog through a normal mail slot, it doesn't happen.
Well,
So I'm not sure I have a big issue about changing that mail slot.
how big do you go? Because, it can't,
It could be, you never
Yep.
know. What size did you do, Brian?
We're proposing going right now, let's see, it's on the photos.
It's on there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I have to look to refresh my memory here. But currently, it's 8 inches by 3 inches, 8 inches wide, 3 inches tall, and we'd propose going to 13.5 inches wide by 3 3/4 high. And the reason for that is they often go out of town for maybe a week, 2 weeks or longer at a time.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's an invitation to people up to no good if your mail just piles up out in the yard, and also can get run by the rain and so forth.
It's when you usually would have your mail held, is what you...
Right, but that's because they do travel quite often, it becomes kind of a real headache to
Yeah.
do that and get it started up again and not lose some pieces along the way.
so this will get large envelopes like we get every month with our packet, but
Right.
it's not an Amazon size.
We did talk a little bit about the possibility of using the historic face of the mail slot and somehow modifying that to cover a larger opening, just to keep, because that is such a kind of
Yeah.
historic feature of the home, as opposed to putting on a new one that looks more modern.
So basically, the entire existing mail slot insert would become,
Part of the opening.
the cover, part of the opening with, I guess, another
I
piece.
think what
added.
we could do is we could take that, we'd have to take it apart to see what's possible and see how it's put together, but ideally, we could at least take the door, the flap, if you will, and then epoxy that on, or,
Fix it.
somehow affix it to the new mail slot door, and hopefully it still, we just have to see, but that is something that we'd be willing to look at.
Oh, affix it to the new slot. I thought we were talking taking the entire faceplate, basically, and make it the new
New
door.
door.
Yeah, the new door, right.
I have to say, I'm with George on this. I don't think that it's
Big deal?
a big deal. I mean, I think
To be
it's a
technical.
functional thing, and if they're keeping the door, that's my comment on it. I don't think that, to try to make them do something with the original and everything, it's either going to be a double hole or something that doesn't work in the future. So
They're altering the original door then.
that's my thought on it.
Any more comments on the mail slot or anything else?
Well, yes. Excuse me, I don't have my I'd like to go back to the garage doors.
Okay?
Now, the garage right now has 3 of the sliding doors across the front of it.
Yes.
That seems pretty architecturally significant to me and makes a pretty good statement about what that garage looks like and was constructed historically. I mean, these new doors, the doors on there now may not be original, but the structure is.
Mm-hmm.
And so it seems to me like it's a significant change to change from 3 garage doors to 2. And I am thinking that the neighborhood has a good point about they don't have an objection to changing that 3rd door to a single garage door so that we keep the 3 garage doors across the front. And I'm understanding correctly that it's not a structural problem to put the pedestrian door on the south side. It's just more of a
Functional.
way you want to use the property. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Right.
I mean, I understand what Suzanne's saying, because we had another case last year where we insisted that they keep the current garage door mechanisms, and as a result, they could not use the garage. So
We did?
it doesn't seem,
The mechanism?
we did. We
Are you
did.
thinking the diamond pattern
Diamond
ones?
pattern.
Well, I
I
think
did see another door
I think we encourage them to look at how to replicate a door with that design or modify that door to be functional, and they eventually let the application expire because they
Right.
didn't really pursue alternatives to what they'd proposed. But
I did see an identical door to that. I'm like, it's weird. I did see.
I guess I'm more on the side of the appearance, the panel door, and right now it's divided into, in the photograph, it looks like a 1/3, 2/3. Those are 3 sliding panels in one opening. Is that correct, or is there a post? or
Is it
something?
one rail with 3 doors on the rail?
No,
Or
it's
2
it's
rails?
3, it would be, you're talking about the proposed
Existing.
new doors?
The existing.
Oh, existing. Yeah, it's 3, well, there's multiple rails, but there are 3 separate doors, and they slide past each other.
On one opening. It looks like there's a post or something.
Yes, there's steel posts set inside of the doors.
Well, I mean, looking at the photograph right there, it looks like there's a post dividing into 1/3, 2/3. Is that not?
Or is that a shadow line between a panel that's sitting forward
Yeah.
on the left and a panel that's sitting
That's probably a
back?
shadow line, you're right.
there's a photo on page 11 of the staff report, meaning the attachments, that shows the
Yeah, the
doors
image.
up closer with one of them partially open, so you can kind of see how they function.
Which page?
Page 11.
11? Yeah, there it is. Okay, thank you. It's just a shadow line.
Right, I think that's just the construction of the doors. They have these, and I think they're 1 by, I'm trying to recall, but I think it's 1 by 6 or something like that around the frame, and then there's 1 by that runs, that bisects it vertically, and Then there's a horizontal that's just below that decorative grill that you see in each door.
Right.
So they all slide past, or can slide past each other.
So what I hear, Jeff, were you saying, I mean, in relationship to the other case that we looked at, and were we saying that it's actually the look of the door was more important, that we actually suggested that they could make that into an overhead door but keep the same design?
Yes, I think the commission had encouraged them on that previous case to look for doors that were more similar to the historic doors, to look at having them either modified or a new door custom built that kept that same design but functioned as an overhead door.
That was, oh, go ahead.
I remember that.
That was also a garage that was out at the street rather than a garage that was set back like this
Right.
is. Usually that makes a difference in
Right.
the level of detail and appearance. That was a very distinctive door that sat at the street.
That was attached to the house, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly.
In Shepherd Drive.
Split level type.
You know.
So is the applicant wanting to go back with 2 individual doors and separate?
So they've proposed one double car width
Okay, 1 door.
garage door.
Okay, 1 double door.
Overhead.
Yeah.
And then in the
Actually-
location of the,
I'm sorry, it's actually 2 single doors because of the
Oh,
post
that's
inside
right.
of the garage. So we're
Okay,
proposing
so-
2 single doors, and then this infill construction to the east side that would have the pedestrian door
Right.
and the wall that would be between the pedestrian door and the others, but that would also be set back in the same plane. The intent was to have these pilasters divide up the doors,
So it looks like
the
3
doors would all
panels.
be in the same plane, so there's some consistency there.
That would be better, yeah, so.
And I think that's shown on a, let's see, maybe a plan detail of that.
A3 kind of shows, that's the existing garage with an infill.
Right.
There it is, yeah. A3, the top right shows it. Personally, it's set back behind the house. The door is to the left.
Is there a proposed
I don't have a
garage
problem.
door design in the application?
Yes, it would be a standard overhead door, flush panel, though, with that, yes.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
on page, I was just
Yes,
looking at it
overhead
myself.
doors with flush panel, though, not the checkered or embossed panels.
It's page 18 of 33, Joe. They
Okay.
clouded
Oh, okay.
the flush panel, which to me is not appropriate. Seems like a more raised panel would be fitting, but not the same design either, so. Those are large panels on the existing. Okay. Any comments on the parking cover outside the garage?
And the idea for that is because the existing garage is so tight by current standards, the interior dimensions are fairly small. I think we've got that let's see, illustrated.
2410 for 3 bays?
Right.
No,
And
that's a canopy. Let's see, the garage is,
yeah, I think the dimension did not show up on the depth of the garage, but the depth is only about 19 feet. And then the width of the doors that we're proposing, they'd have to be custom overhead doors to be made to fit between the existing steel post, would only be a little over 7 feet wide. The point of that being is that even with new overhead doors, this is still a very small garage. It was great for Model Ts or Model As, whatever they did back in the 30s, but it doesn't work for current cars. And the reason we're proposing this covered parking is to give them some shelter for their vehicles, because right now the garage is really unusable on a daily basis.
What did you say the depth of the garage is?
I think it's 19 feet.
Outside or inside?
That's inside.
Yeah, it's probably about 20.
I believe that's right. I'm going by memory here. And
And the doors would be 7 foot 3 inches wide, according to the sheet A3-1.
That was another item where staff was recommending denial, and so was the
right.
neighborhood review. I think we've typically denied all carports,
Okay.
whatever we call them. We have a new name every time.
Yeah,
But,
I came up with a new one, a new name. Covered.
There's just no way for us to actually,
Cover.
I understand your situation. There's just really no way for us to fit it into the guidelines. I mean, in regards to, and staff explained that, I think, as part of their findings. Katie, have we ever had any unique circumstances that allowed us to do that?
Yeah, and I think in the time that I've been here, we haven't approved them. We may have approved ones that were on the side of a garage, so back behind the house where it wasn't visible. I know Angela has seen some carports approved with various unique circumstances. But yeah, we typically do not approve them in visible locations.
Again, our hope was that maybe since it is so far back from the street and shielded a good bit from view by the house, that maybe there would be some leniency for that. And the detailing of the post, this would not be a prefabricated carport. The post would be proposed to be built in the same manner that we would propose the structure on the back of the house as well, so that there's some consistency there.
I would just say, my personal yes or no would be, do you drive by and go, how did those people get a permit for a carport?
Right.
And I would say, in this case, that's what people would say. Yeah. How did those people get a permit for a carport? And so I think that's kind of our,
right.
It's kind of my test on this one.
And something I would like to share, and I realize it has no bearing on you guys sitting here today, but something that Rod has mentioned to me, the neighbor across the street, and not saying that just because something was granted in the past means
right.
that you have to grant something in the future. But there were a lot of additions made to that house that I would dare say probably would not pass today. Pretty extensive additions and in the back and so forth. But the point being is that the hope is that maybe, again, this is pretty small scale and it's back from the street, and just hoping that that would be some help there. Of the covered parking, yes, it's on sheet A9. Let's see, I'm not sure what that's. I think it's A9 on your packet. It's A9 it's 31 as far as the way it's numbered by the meeting attachments. The post, correct. Right, and then.
Angela, will you come up to the mic? Sorry, we can't hear you.
You know better than that.
I didn't really want to be involved in the conversation. So if that line is horizontal for the roof, they're directly above the garage doors. Is the post on this far side lining up directly with the wall of the garage on that side?
On the north side you're
Yes.
talking about? Correct, yes, or very close to it. And then the post, the covered parking is proposed to be divided along the way of the doors so that you'd have a post lining up with the east bay, or the north bay rather, and then there'd be a bay to the south of that, and then the proposed pedestrian entry. So you have a space wide enough, a wider opening on the south.
Okay, thank you. I didn't have a color version, so I was just trying to figure out exactly how truly visible it is. Thank you for clarifying that for me.
Well, the guidelines don't permit carports, bottom line.
Well, the guidelines do not ever use the word carport. There's nothing that says thou shalt not have a carport. We have typically treated them like additions, like landscape elements, like things like pergolas and decks, and have emphasized that they should be in locations that are not visible or are very minimally visible from the street, from the public right-of-way. One thought that I'm having looking at this photo is whether if the northern edge of the carport was moved in to where it was more so behind the house, if that would reduce the visibility from the street, similarly to what I think we've approved in the past where it's tucked back behind the side of the garage, except this wouldn't be the side, it would still be the front. But
I don't remember approving a parking cover on the side of the garage even.
I don't think we've done one recently, but we've approved various
We've done
attachments to the sides of garages, covered porches and
covered porches,
pergolas and
yeah.
outdoor kitchens and things like that.
So you basically just labeled it the wrong thing.
What should I have called it?
Stick a barbecue under it and call it an outdoor kitchen. And
It's an outdoor kitchen. It's mislabeled.
And just have to park the car there. It is kind of odd because of all the other proposed additions, which we haven't talked about for the covered porch. It's very compatible with what's going on back there.
And one thing I would like to share too is that Rada just mentioned to me, you know, we'd like to not get everything stalled out on this covered parking. I mean, if that's a deal breaker, if you will, or you know, that becomes a real issue, then we could maybe discuss some of the other items on there if don't want it to be thrown out because of that.
I think other items can be approved.
Okay.
If the north bay of the parking cover was eliminated, would that help? Anyway, not as visible?
Not in my view.
That's why I looked over this way.
It just becomes, I think it becomes harder for us because we stick to the guidelines, you know, like
Sure.
you say, more and more, not less and less. I mean, we denied an arch over a fence for a rose bush in the last year. So
Hard to believe.
it's not because we want to, because we feel like that we can't justify using the guidelines. So
That's why we have the guidelines, right?
That's kind of where, you know, I feel stuck too, but I would be happy to try a motion to approve other items on here.
Any more comments before Joe makes a motion? Attempt to make a motion.
Yeah.
Nothing? All right.
Okay. Well, I just would question anybody, the location of, we want to leave the door and the garage doors out right now? Or is there were there thoughts on on the left side, the pedestrian door?
I'm personally okay with that.
Yeah, the garage doors I was fine with. You might run the mail slot separately if you're going to make motions. It's an historic feature on the front of the house.
Okay.
But
And also the pattern for the garage doors might, I don't know if you looked at that, what you think.
Okay. Well, we'll just try the mail slot first.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve HPCA 16-00169, Item 1. Replace the mail slot. See, now I've got to justify it because staff recommended to deny it. Sorry. It's hiding in here. Specific findings, with the unique circumstances that it does not allow for normal mail to be put through the slot.
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Joe Meacham, second by George Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, how many nays? Nays. Okay, George. And 3 nays, and Jeff. Okay, and so we had 4.
make sure the ayes were all ayes.
Aye.
Okay, raise your hands.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So
3 to 4. So that passes.
5. 1, 2. Raise your hands again. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right.
Yep, 5 to 3, sorry.
Okay, I get to vote. All right. So item 1 is approved.
Okay. I make a motion to approve, or number, to approve items 2, 3, and 8 with the specific findings as noted by staff and the staff report and the unique conditions. Items 2, 3, and 8.
2, 3, and 8. Okay, any comments?
Second.
Okay, been moved by Joe Meacham and second by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passed unanimously.
Okay.
Next.
Okay, make a motion to approve HPCA 1600169 items 6 and 7, which would be the replacing the exterior stairs and installing the new door opening at the rear of the garage.
With the conditions, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, with the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report in the 6 and 7. Were there unique conditions?
Yes.
And unique conditions. That a specific door to be submitted to staff before the CA is released.
Which items were those again?
6 and 7.
6 and 7, okay.
Second.
All right, it's moved by Joe Meacham and second by Greg Eddington. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 6 and 7 are approved. You're on a roll.
On number 5, I would say, it doesn't sound like that, it sounds like maybe a different door design might be appropriate for the garage doors themselves. Yes? Any comments?
There's none that are in an overhead type that would mimic the existing, really, because of larger panels. But maybe something with a raised panel, large raised panel? Do you agree?
It would be nice if it were something that had a little bit of the historic in it.
Relief?
but
Is this gonna be something
it's not
staff
a
can-
deal. It's not a deal breaker for.
Oh. Is this something staff could approve, or do we want it, somebody want it to be a part of the motion?
What about the one to the left of the one that was chosen, which would be the model 295, ... It's called a long L. Is that better, or? Because existing doors are divided into 2 vertically.
Would you be,
Well, I was just going to say that we frequently will approve, like, new garages with the requirement that they submit revised doors to staff. So if we're comfortable with just the idea that the doors should be perhaps more similar to what's there now or more historic in nature, I think that's something that they could, the homeowners could pick out something that they like and then submit that to staff if the commission's comfortable with that. In the staff report, we just felt like that flush design looks very modern and didn't
Yeah,
look
I agree with that. So maybe
typical for
just
that era of a garage.
maybe just say a raised panel design of some type approved by staff, or it's actually not a raised panel.
okay.
What you call that? A
Okay,
panelized
I make a
design.
motion to approve HPCA 1600169, item 5, to replace the garage doors and to install the pedestrian door with the following conditions: that the garage doors and opening appear to be historic as shown in the drawings, with final approval for the garage and the door itself to be submitted to staff for approval.
But not the one that's proposed.
What?
But not the one that's proposed, the flush.
Right, not to be the one that was proposed. So with the specific findings, that one's changed. That'd be number 1. Number 2, to include that specific finding, to include 3, but 4, I want to make sure that we say this right, the garage door, pedestrian door, the conditions. And number 4. The conditions, however, number 1 is not correct in the staff report. The garage doors to be modified to 2 single doors. Is that correct? To 2 single doors.
Well,
That one, this one says to a single two-car width.
I know, so it's not,
I think you can just strike that one because
Okay.
that's what they had proposed initially.
Oh, that's what they proposed. Okay, so no condition on number one, and number two, the second condition, the garage door, pedestrian door, an infill material be modified to more closely approximate the historic doors and be submitted to staff. Is that correct?
okay. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Okay. That's your tag team. So moved by Joe Meacham, second by Jeff Parks. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that item's been approved with conditions as well. And now we're on to the final.
Carport. We can either vote to, I would make a motion to deny, or the applicant can withdraw that portion.
If there's
Continue.
any openness to looking at other ways to revise the design, reducing the size to more fully, minimize the visibility more, we can continue it for either 1 month or 2 months. I don't know that that's.
Yeah, I think if it's going to be a no vote or continue, I think we'd say continue.
Okay.
Okay, I make a motion to continue item 9 on HBCA 16001692 to the
March?
Can either, probably the March meeting.
Okay.
March.
I do not have that date, but we can just say the March
Okay.
meeting of the,
It would
March.
be March
look at the date in there.
1st.
March 2017 meeting.
It's March 1st, as a matter of fact. Okay, second?
Second.
Is that Ann? So moved by Joe Meacham, second by Ann Zakowicz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that item is continued. Thank you. Is that all of it?
Yeah, and thank you all. I know that was difficult. There was a lot of items. One question for you guys, since you're all up here. I know you're not a design input necessarily, but do you feel like if we came back to you with as Katie said, a reduced size covered parking, something along those lines, that might be more favorable, or what would you recommend as far as trying to get something positive here?
I think visibility from the public right-of-way is important. I think as you had it placed previously, it creates a really deep shadow in front of the garage that would not be appropriate to see. Things in the backyard or out of visibility from the public right-of-way are a little easier to consider.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, onward.
HPCA 16-00198 at 2301 Northwest 27th Street, Shepherd, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application of Ellery English by Joshua Lowe Miller for a certificate of appropriateness to 1, install fence required, and 2, install flagstone paver walkway required.
Okay, must be the applicant.
Hi, my name is Josh Lockmiller. I'm the applicant's brother.
Okay, thank you. All right, comments on this? Fence and pavers. Anybody?
Have you all turned in a proposal for a different fence, or are you just wanting to?
No, I noticed in the paperwork that was mailed to us that the recommendation was to do a solid color, and that there could be 2 colors, but the outline, I think, is how it was described. The borders could be 1 color, and the panels could be a different color. So our proposal is to make the panels, the pickets, all wood stain, and then leave the posts that are already cemented in the ground. It would be the easiest thing to do, is leave that cherry color. And another thing that was mentioned was that it all needed to be the same height. So we would make it all the same height. But no, there's no architectural drawings or anything like that.
Katie, is this something staff could approve if they turned in a fence that follows the guidelines?
Yeah, I think, what I think we would do is have the commission approve it with the condition that they do those things, and then we'll get some sort of written document, some sort of documentation from them to include in the staff report, acknowledging those things.
So the main objection, the guideline's not consistent with the house.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
The other was that it appears that the original intent of that, the pavers at the front was to park on.
Correct.
And so if you're going to do half of it, then it's just going to be more like kind of like a patio area, a sidewalk or something.
Right, it's just that's dirt from the fence to the backyard to the driveway. So we're just leave the paved stone so that there would be a paved walkway.
Yeah.
Maybe, like you said, maybe put some flower pots or something.
So you're saying that you're going to reduce it to 10 by 11?
Correct.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve HPCA 16-00198. Sorry.
Can I interrupt and clarify the size of it? Because I think right now it's 10 by 11.
No, it's...
The paving area.
No, it comes all the way to the side, to the curb.
Correct. It is
Oh, okay.
21 feet
It's 21.
What's that?
Okay,
at this time.
okay.
Yeah, this
Never
is
mind.
half. So now
Okay,
you
never
can't
mind.
use it to put a car on.
Okay, so
Okay.
you're saying that that photograph is not correct, and now goes to the street?
They're going to have to, the approval will be to approve it if they remove the first 11 feet from the street to the,
Okay,
proposed 11.
what's shown in this photograph right
they've
there?
already done the entire 21 feet, so.
Okay, and this photograph is just a portion of it, is that correct?
That is the condition that it is currently in. It's 21 feet by 11 feet. And we are proposing to reduce that paved stone back to that opening. So that opening is 10 foot wide.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. Reduce it back to where?
The opening in the middle of the picture here?
Right there. So it's going to be the width of that opening,
Correct. That is
Okay.
10 feet.
okay?
Right.
All right.
Okay. To approve HPCA 16-00198, item 2, to install the flagstone paver to a size that is 11 by 10, as shown in the application, with that part of the pavement at the next to the fence, not next to the curb. To just clarify that.
That's the condition.
That's the condition.
It's basically lining up with the opening,
To line up with the opening,
okay,
yes.
where the gates are going to be. Okay.
And to install a fence with the condition that the design is submitted to the staff for approval before you get the CA.
Do you want to specify what I was going to say, to specify that the stain be one uniform color on the panels and that the height be uniform.
I think that's part of the guidelines.
Okay.
The staff's going to approve that.
Okay.
Well, that's more compatible with the existing house,
But-
kind of a general statement.
Well, they're going to have to remove it or completely redo
Modify
it.
it.
So
Modify.
whatever they do is going to have to be drawn up and submitted to staff for approval. I don't want to hold them to something. They can work this out with staff. It probably has to be one height, yes, but
That's
Something
compatible
that
with
we
the
add.
existing
If
house.
staff is okay with that, I think the intention is that it's a consistent height, that the horizontal boards are all a consistent color, and the vertical posts
No, the
can be a
horizontal-
contrasting color.
horizontal boards are coming out.
That's not
I
what
don't
we
think
talked
so.
about.
No, he said that they would make the horizontal boards all one stain
But
Oh, I'm sorry.
and keep
No,
them the same. So,
in that case,
no. I'm sorry. I thought you meant you were going to remove the horizontal planks and start over.
no.
leaving the post in the concrete. That's why you said you were going to leave those in the concrete. Remove the horizontal and make them vertical. So,
And I will say, we have approved numerous horizontal fences
really.
in many locations. It's very popular right now.
I know
and
it's popular, but that doesn't mean that it's appropriate.
Yeah.
But we approved it.
We have fairly minimal guidelines on fence design, other than the materials and the height and the setbacks for fencing. So we've generally approved somewhat more modern-looking fence designs.
Well, I'll let somebody else make that motion. I'll just stick to item 2.
Can I take a stab at it, Jeff?
But we can still, we can act on
Oh, you
motion
still,
to approve
okay.
number 2.
Act on item 2.
Two parts, sorry. So,
Mine is just to reduce the flagstone pavers to 11 by 10 feet as shown in the drawings.
okay, it's been moved by Joe Meacham. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ann Zakowitz on item 2. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item 2 is approved. Now, I guess somebody else needs to take on item 1.
I'll just finish my comments. I don't think it's appropriate, the design of this situation. If it was maybe an inside fence or something, but it's a prominent corner, and to me, it looks like we're adding a contemporary
Element?
design to the neighborhood. I don't really see the popularity part at all. I'm not saying I don't like the fence. Great fence. Just don't feel like it's appropriate.
It's more of a screen, too. It's open on the bottom, but yeah, it's very popular right now, that horizontal character. Could be modified?
The fence that currently is in place, the wood fence, is a vertical fence with that same spacing. It's exactly the same, it's just horizontal, vertical, if you will.
Say again?
The fence that is on the property when we moved in, that is wood, has that same spacing. I heard someone mention that. The slat, it's more of a screen as opposed to buttressed together. So we kind of took that same style that was already there, but instead of doing vertical, we decided to do it horizontal. Because it's not unique to the neighborhood, there are horizontal fence in the Shepherd Historic District. That color scheme is admittedly more modern, but the horizontal fence is not unique to the neighborhood.
You said there was an existing fence there that was similar but vertical.
On the property, there should have been a picture.
Is it still there, or is it?
Yeah, I submitted those pictures. They're not in this packet, however.
Well, they're not in the packet.
Actually, you can barely see it in the picture with the vehicles. It's on the left of the garage apartment.
Which page? Oh, there it is, on page...
It's on the
8.
very left. You can only see a snippet of it.
Page 8. Yeah. Vertical posts, vertical slats. You could almost reuse material and emulate that. Anybody?
Well, it seems to me there are enough outstanding issues here and a lot of going back and forth about who means what. I'm thinking we just need to continue it to another commission meeting instead of leaving it so open unless staff says, well, we can handle it and we understand, but it seems to me there's still quite a bit of discussion.
You know, we frequently administratively approve fences, and I think that if we have clear enough direction from a consistent point of view on the commission about what is or is not appropriate, then that's something that could either be continued or approved with the condition that something come to staff, or continued and then we administratively approve it. Like I said, we have previously approved horizontal fences, so that's not something that had we continued that with no comments about that to staff, we probably would have turned around and approved that. So I think to give direction either for staff or for the applicant about what changes to the design are going to be required for them to be able to get approved would be helpful.
So I think we talked earlier that if it was more compatible with the house, as far as single color, single height, it would be more acceptable. Is that true? As far as the direction to give? For continuance.
That's what I think, but I think not everybody's in agreement with that.
I mean, I'm not in agreement. We're always, I mean, we deny a lot smaller items that are, I mean, we're talking about the design. I mean,
it's somewhat compatible with the horizontal
I mean,
siding
when you
on
drive
the
through the
back.
neighborhood, you go, oh, look, there's a modern fence. I mean, once again, it doesn't pass my test of driving by and going, oh, a new carport. I mean, it just, to me, it's the same thing. People think, how'd they ever get that passed? And, I mean,
Well,
that to me is not our goal.
It's a good observation, but it's the guidelines that I think we're trying
I
to.
didn't know that we were letting vertical fences, and I mean, on a prominent area. It's, to me, I mean, this is a big corner, but
You didn't know we had horizontal slat fences?
I mean, based on maybe something historic or something, like there are, you know, wide ones that kind of look like a farm kind of thing. I mean, those are occasionally, you know, have been historic and they're still there. I'm not totally opposed, but I feel like this design is just too modern for that particular corner.
I agree. I think it's far too modern for the corner, and I was not aware that we had approved horizontal fence railing.
There are 3 reasons that this came before you, rather than being administratively approved. One is the color scheme, one is the stepped height, and one is the fact that it's horizontal. Staff does approve horizontal fencing, usually on interior lots. I can't think of any corner lots at this point that we've administratively approved. Can you?
I mean, on color, I mean, I'm not really sure on that. I mean, usually we don't even discuss color. Do we on
Typically, we do
fences?
not address color, but this was
I mean,
a
I don't mind
variety.
the color. I mean, the house is, you know, got all sorts of red and brown in it. I mean, if it was somebody stained, I mean, I don't think you stained them individually. It's the wood that you selected, correct? It's not different kinds of wood, is it? So,
Would you say it is or isn't different types of wood?
No, she was correct. It's the same kind of wood with different colors.
Different stains, okay.
oh, with different stains.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh,
Yours
okay.
wasn't.
Thank you.
But I think the multiple colors draws more attention to it. If it were if the horizontal slats were a uniform color, it would not draw as much attention to it.
Well, that and this, anyway. Either make a motion or I will.
Okay, one more thing. I have a question. Since this is a side yard, I'm looking at the picture in the staff report on page 7 of 11. Is the fence going all the way to that house, that white house on the side street? And if so, does that put it in front of that house?
Now, the house right behind us faces 28. We face 27. So that's the actual garage we're looking at right there. And we're about 20 feet from that garage. They have their yard, and then our fence line is about 20 feet from their garage. Their garage faces the street.
The next
to our
street
side.
over.
So I think that's the back of that house. So we do have requirements about fencing not protruding in front of the front wall of another house, but that's the side that it's, yeah.
It's actually the side-facing garage of the
Okay,
of the
that's
next
what I
house
couldn't tell from the
corner.
picture.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't mind going ahead and making a motion, and we'll see where we are. If anybody has anything else to say. Okay, so I move to approve HPCA 16-00198, item 1, with the conditions that the rails be one color and that the height be one consistent height.
Okay, is there a second on that?
Second.
All right, moved by Greg Ellington, second by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, how about the ayes first? 1, 2, 3. I think I know where this is going. Nays? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you vote,
I
Jim?
was in 4.
Okay. So, lost track. How many was it again?
Show of hands if you voted
Ayes.
aye. 1, 2, 3, 4.
4. I didn't get you, George, sorry. And nays? 1, 2, 3, 4. Tie. Okay. We did this before. Anybody want to change their vote? Okay, what do we do again? Tie vote?
So if the applicant would accept a continuance, we can continue it to the future meeting and try and work with staff and see if we can come up with a solution.
You know where we stand on it, so.
Sure, I would just like some direction as to what I can provide to help the decision be made.
Well, it's possible one of us isn't going to be here next month, so we get a different outcome.
I mean, I would say most of the time we do approve horizontal fences, so I don't know what the objection would be to that.
You mean vertical fences?
I mean
Vertical.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I think if you were willing to change the configuration of the slats and make it a vertical fence instead of horizontal, then that would quite readily be approved.
I understand that.
Or if there's some convincing historic precedent for a horizontal fence that has a different proportion, the solid to open space or something like that.
Or hope for a different outcome.
Sure.
So,
Well, there's one person who's not here, so if we have an odd number next time, you'd at least
Right.
have to sit.
no lobbying.
Okay, sounds good. So,
You want to continue it soon?
yes.
Okay, anybody? Try that?
I move to continue HBCA 16-00198, item 1 to the which meeting? The next one, I guess.
We can do February or March.
Let's do February.
Okay, so and I don't have the dates in front of me, but we can just say the February 2017
To
meeting.
the
February
February
1.
2017.
February 1st.
February 1st. Okay.
Yep. Okay, second?
Second.
Been moved by Greg Ennington, second by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that item is continued. Thank you.
HBCA 16-00200 at 122 Northwest 26th Street, Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Neil Kellogg and Kate Pritchett for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace front door elective.
Okay, applicant.
I'm Kate Pritchett. I live at 122
Okay,
Northwest 26th.
thank you. Comments on the door? And staff are recommending continuance. For more documentation or a new door.
The style of the proposed door and the style of the house don't really fit very well. I don't think.
Do you feel like that the door that's there is original?
I assume so.
Because we usually use the original door as the
Right,
door to copy.
right. And I understand that, and we love the historical aspects of the house. We did see a number of doors like the one we're proposing on similar homes that we felt provided better security. You can tell from the close-up picture of the existing door, we've been locked out and we've broken ourselves in. But it would also be very easy for someone else to do that. So that was the thinking.
Have you had it looks like one of the panes have been broken?
Yes, I think it was probably broken before we moved in, and we've also, within 10 minutes of owning the house, we locked ourselves out. That was the first time we broke it.
Oh,
And then
to get
a couple
in?
times since. We have a better backup system with the spare key now, but we know from personal experience that it takes about 5 seconds to break into the house.
Well, see, if you had that new door, you wouldn't have been able to get in.
It's true. It's true. We will, yes.
Maybe the back door. But I understand the security aspect with those
Yeah, we
multi-pane
did.
front doors.
This may be irrelevant, but we did try to, we did order a custom door with the 4 panes on top to match the windows of the house. We weren't, we are trying.
And you already have the door.
We did this in the wrong order. I know, I'm sorry.
Amazing how expensive those doors are.
It was very expensive.
Okay. Any comments or motion? Questions? Silence.
Silence on this.
Yeah.
Well, in my view, guideline 3.5.4 compels replacement of a door that's compatible with what's existing. It's a historic door, and the new door that you have purchased doesn't pass that guideline, in my opinion.
Okay.
Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I'll make a motion for HPCA 16-00200 to deny item 1.
I'll just interject, they are up for 2 continuances, so if the applicant
Would you like to make?
if you would like to
continue it?
continue it, and we can administratively approve a door that is more similar to the historic door, if you are interested in pursuing
Well, I
something
mean,
else.
yeah, this door's there, it's not going to change, so I don't really see the point of a continuance. I mean, we'd have to start over, right?
So if it's continued and you would be willing to consider proposing a different door, then you don't have to start the application over. You
Oh,
just
okay.
submit a different door to us, and then
All
we can
right,
go
let's
forward
do
from
that
there.
then, yeah.
If it's denied, then you have to start all over again.
Right, yeah, please.
Okay, I make a motion to continue HPCA 16-00200 to the March meeting.
Which gives you a month to basically to come up with a substitution. For a second?
Second.
Is that Ann?
Yep.
It's been moved by Joe Meacham, second by Ann Zakowicz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's continued. Thank you.
HPCA 16-00203 at 610 Northwest 14th Street. Heritage Hills Ward 6, consideration and possible action on application of Louise and J. Thurman by Larry Herzl for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish garage, elective, 2, construct garage, elective, 3, install mechanical equipment, elective, 4, demolish driveway, elective, 5, install new driveway, elective, and 6, install new sidewalk, elective.
Applicant present?
My name is Larry Herzl with HSE Architects, representing the owner.
Thank you. Okay. Comments on this garage, then new driveway and sidewalk.
I have a question for staff on item 1 under recommendations. It says that a correct plan indicating the accurate size be submitted. Where's the difference?
So the floor plan and the site plan show different measurements, and we just wanted to make sure we had accurate dimensions for in all the drawings.
Correct, and we have modified, we were actually dimensioning to the roof overhang on the site plan, and the floor plan should be correct with exactly, I think, 680 square feet.
So the proposed garage is 21 feet 0 1/2 inch wide by 24 7 3/4 inch long, deep. Is that correct?
We did max out to the
No, that's existing. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
5% of the square footage of the lot.
Okay.
Right.
Which is the 680 square feet,
Right.
Approximately 20.
680 square feet is 5% of the lot.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So it's about, where is it?
So have you read the staff report and you're ready to submit the additional information to the staff?
Yes, we are. Yes. Right, actually, I think we have gotten correct square footage to Angela.
And it's, because I'm advanced, the one that exists as existing floor plan, page 8 of 81, that's the correct size.
The
Sheet number HP1, page 8 of 81.
Page 14 of 81.
Okay. 14. Oh, okay.
Correct.
I must be out of it today, because that says existing. So the new one is on page 14.
I started to get my feathers ruffled because of the unusual window pattern, but then I looked at the existing garage, and it's got also a very unusual window pattern also. So
It did, so
Right.
we kind of kept with the randomness and made it work with what we were proposing inside.
Sure, yes. That makes sense.
Right.
Okay. I think I'm finally clear.
I make a motion to approve HPCA 1600203. All items with the specific findings as noted by staff and the conditions noted by staff, which include submitting additional information if it hasn't been submitted yet. It shows the size of the garage and any other dimensions that the staff was asking for.
Second.
Does the demolition have to be approved separately?
Oh,
Yes, you're right. We usually do a separate motion for that. Sorry.
I make a motion to approve HPCA 1600203, item 1. Just a second.
Okay.
Second one, is it by itself? Okay. Okay.
There it is.
Item 1, with the specific findings noted by staff in the staff report.
Second.
Is that Suzanne? Moved by Joe Meacham, seconded by Suzanne Broadbent. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 1, demolition is approved.
Can the rest be included in one? Okay, I make a motion to approve items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 for HPCA 1600203 with the specific findings as noted by staff and the conditions noted by staff, which includes submitting additional information before the CA will be
Issued.
issued. Yes.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved by Joe Meacham, seconded by Suzanne Broadbent. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the remaining items are approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a thick one.
HPCA 16-00204 at 614 Northwest 25th Street, Paseo, Ward 2. Consideration of possible action on application of David Remy for certificate of appropriateness to 1 construct garage elective.
Okay.
Hello, David Ramey, 614 Northwest 25th.
Welcome back.
Glad to be back.
I bet. Okay, comments about the proposed garage? You haven't started construction yet?
Have not. Getting close, though.
So there were revised elevations at the bench? Were these revised from what was in the packet?
For the
That's
garage?
because of the change for the fire rating.
Right.
The applicant realized after we prepared the staff reports that because of how close it is to the property line, that one wall would have to be fire rated, so you can't have windows in it.
Oh.
So you revised that elevation to remove the windows.
Okay, the change from the previous approved application is what? What was changed or added? Wasn't there an accessory building?
Yeah, there's a, so in the application, I guess it'd be sheet 3 of 29. It's kind of a little diagram that shows what was originally approved. And then
Just that?
Just the top image
Couldn't
was originally
remember.
approved,
Okay.
which is just kind of a brick accessory building, an overhead door and pedestrian door on the south facade away from the public right-of-way. So that accessory building gets a little larger, and then the two-story garage attaches behind on the south face.
Okay. Comments? As I see it, if it was proposed as one structure, it wouldn't be within our square footage, but as an addition to an approved outbuilding, it is within the 450 square feet for the garage.
Say that again.
The accessory building was approved, okay, and he's basically adding on the garage to that. And so the garage is within 450, but if it had been all submitted at the same time, it would be larger. It's kind of, I don't know what you guys talk about that. Because we've had so many discussions about garages.
So just a brief excuse me, explanation on that is, I think so I drew the garage at 448 square feet, so it fits within
Yep,
that.
right.
The original accessory building adds an additional 69 square feet, which is kind of assigned as a storage
Right.
space. And the idea behind that is, if you look at the elevations, you see kind of the siding mass, which is that 448 square feet extruded. The accessory building, if you will, takes the place of an external stair and entryway. And so once that's only 1 story tall, once you make your way up there, there's kind of a residual space underneath. So it doesn't really feel like it's part of the mass of the garage. It's like you were saying, it's a separate, it's the same structure, but it's
We've had so many discussion about garages that were over the 450 square feet, and essentially it is one structure now. That's why I brought it up. We had one applicant that had a similar access from the back, a garage, and then a sort of a storage area, support area that took it over the area, and we denied it. And I thought if he submitted them separately, you know, had an accessory building, or I guess you could have a garage and then add on in the future an accessory building to it, but it seems like that's kind of not consistent with our past cases. What do you think?
Well, we approve standalone accessory
Right.
structures all the time.
Right. And garages?
And garages all the time. So yes, I mean, the applicant's already approved to build the accessory structure, so they could go out and do that tomorrow, and then could come back and build a separate garage that's not connected to it. So I think Hugh's trying to avoid doing that. We have also approved modifications to garages, extensions to garages, such as at one commission member's property. The historic garage was enlarged, so.
See, who would that be?
So, yeah, we've approved.
They still didn't take it over the 450 square feet. That's my point. The total structure now is going to be over the size, which is for a massing reason, I think, more than anything, on a small lot, correct?
Yes, it's above the 450 that's set as the baseline, and as we talk about each time, the commission does have the ability to consider other factors, including the visibility of it, and to exercise some discretion within the way that guideline lays those considerations out. So,
I think it looks fine, personally, just looking at the guidelines. It's, we get so many of these garage projects.
Yeah, I agree with staff.
David, refresh my memory. I meet a lot of people, which I'm fortunate to do so. When did you first move into the area on Walker?
On Walker?
Were you one of the owners on Walker? Do I remember that correctly? On the east side? I may be thinking of somebody else.
We lived at the edge for about a year. Is that?
No, I mean right there near the pump. That wasn't. You weren't in one of those.
No, this will be our first time into that neighborhood. Wait, I think.
Where did we meet?
Block 42.
Block 42. You came north.
I did.
I usually do too.
I love what you're. I think this is a great idea. I hope it works out well for you.
Thank you.
Pretty cool.
Any comments from the right side?
So the extra factor to consider would be the visibility. Is that what you're referring to? I just want to make sure I know what we're considering.
yes, I think that's the main one that. Sorry, that's the main one that we've identified when we've had some of these garages proposed that are mid-block, where it's behind the house, it's very minimally visible from the street, and that increase in size beyond that 450 is not going to be visually distinguishable as far as what you can see from the public right-of-way.
The built to open space doesn't push to some unreasonable,
which is what
thing that we're trying to avoid. I think it fits within the guidelines. While over 450 square feet, it is quite minimally visible.
I make a motion to approve HPCA 16-00204 with the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report and the conditions, which would be that a garage door. Did you not submit a garage door?
The proposed garage door is metal, which we typically don't approve in Paseo, and I know the applicant had some specific reasons for wanting that, so I don't know if you want to discuss that.
Do you want to address the garage door?
Even if it's a new construction, still can't do that?
Yep, the guidelines as far as garage door materials are the same for new construction and historic.
And in Paseo, metal is not allowed?
It, maybe I can get a little assistance in interpreting the guideline. The language should be under 4.4.19, specifically addresses garage doors in the Paseo. It says new garage vehicle doors in Paseo Historic District may be smooth finished solid wood, which would indicate that that's a deviation from some standard. I couldn't find what the standard was. It doesn't forbid it as far as I'm reading it.
So for the guideline prior to that one, 4.4.18, says that new garage doors in all other districts other than Heritage Hills may be solid wood, wood veneer with a concealed metal frame, or composite materials including fiberglass or wood fiber. And then it calls out a smooth finished solid wood door in Paseo, and then it calls out metal doors for Heritage Hills East, Putnam Heights, and Shepherd.
Right. So I guess my argument or request would be what's allowed is smooth regardless of its materiality. I personally prefer a metal door because it is twice the insulative performance. Metal that low to the ground maintains better. They'll be painted in either case. It's half the cost, and it's not visible from the street. And I get that the guidelines are there, and when I'm reading the guideline and it says it may be this, that's not it has to be or shall be this, if there are certain conditions that allow for that flexibility.
So it says new garage doors, but it doesn't differentiate between new doors and a new
Well,
construction.
4.4 is all specifically for new garages, new construction of
4.4
garages.
is? All of
Yes,
that
the entire
is
section
new,
of the
all new,
guidelines.
okay.
But those guidelines do happen to match the ones in 3.9, which is for historic garages.
Existing historic.
It appears that the guideline is for the smooth wood. Would you like to submit another garage door as
Yeah,
part of the condition to approve the entire garage?
Yeah, like I told Katie, if that's not the hill I'm willing to die on, I would prefer that. But if wood is what the commission is going to require, then I'm happy to do smooth wood.
Wood? Everybody's not. Okay, so I think I make the motion to approve with specific findings and with the condition that a garage door meeting the relevant guidelines for materials be submitted to staff to release the CA.
Okay. Been moved by Joe Meacham. And
Second.
seconded by Jeff Parks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now on to other business. There is none, correct? Communications reports. Commissioner approvals?
Lots of administrative approvals.
Yep.
Please don't ask us about any of them right now, but contact us if you have questions. I don't think there are any horizontal fences.
I'm looking for that.
A couple of withdrawals, administrative closures, applicants that were submitted and never moved forward with complete documentation, that sort of thing. Nothing to report from City Council. Our case that was denied, well, in two parts. One portion was denied in November, and then one portion was kind of denied by default with a tie vote in December. That has been appealed to Board of Adjustment and is anticipated to be heard January 19th.
Okay. Great. Nothing from Planning Commission. Anything from the Ad Hoc Committee?
Nothing.
Nothing, okay.
Nothing. Probably need
Anything
to
from our new municipal counselor?
I just wanted to say that I'm excited for the opportunity to be here, and I realize I have big shoes to fill from Rita, that she had served well for the past several years, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to work with you.
Look forward to it also. Okay, next meeting date. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission is February 1st, 2017 at 2 p.m. at the Municipal Building. Right here. New applications for this meeting were received January 3rd, 2017. New information on projects continued from today's meeting to the upcoming meeting must be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, January 10th, 2017. Trying to get in the habit of saying 2017. The next regular scheduled workshop for the Historic Preservation Commission is Wednesday, March 8th, 2017, from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 420 West Main, Suite 900.
Let me just add on that, Alan. Sorry, we
no problem.
we canceled our December workshop because it was so close to the all commission committee workshop, and we've been thinking that we would reschedule that for the Wednesday after the February commission meeting. So I'll send an email around to everyone to check availability for that. But just kind of.
So between now and before the March 8th, we'll have another one. You're thinking? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Katie,
Okay.
do we have topics selected for those?
We have quite a list of things from the last workshop that we had. So I'll email everyone tomorrow with kind of the things that we need to follow up on from that. And then if there are other things we need to discuss, we can add those on.
Okay. Any items from commissioners?
I just wanted to say one thing in relation to what you're talking about. At the end of the last meeting, Joe mentioned this about kicking around the garage thing a little bit more. and I actually would like to also. I mean, we have a lot of these, and I worry a little bit about, more than a little bit, I worry about consistency. I'm not sure we are. I mean, I know the rule has some flexibility in it, but the problem with that, when you have flexibility, is you're not being fair to different people who are in the same situation, and I'm kind of troubled by that, and so I would like, I mean, I know we talked about it last year, but I still think it might be worth discussing a little bit again.
A little water under the bridge now, so I agree. Any other commissioners? Any citizens left? You want to say anything? All right. So there's no more business. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Katie, do you know when the April